Players are underway here, so they are starting in Link's house. This seed is the worst, says Uncle. Thank you very much for that. Mikan is playing as a bunny, both runners getting the 10 arrows out of the first chest, and it looks like Eriror is a Dark Link sprite today.
And next we'll be picking up our sword from Uncle, and then we'll see what else Escape has to give us.
Ooh, the 5-6 crystals were on Eastern Palace and Tower of Hera. That's a very interesting place for those to be. I'm leading that to suggest an early Pyramid Fairy check might be needed somewhere.
Both of those 5-6 crystals in the light world means they may be accessible pretty early.
Ooh, silver arrows in the back of Escape under the Uncle. So those silver arrows are going to be useless without the bow. If they find the bow early, however, that's going to make the combat in this seed very, very easy for a lot of the major enemies.
Yeah, and of course it'll be very, very nice to not have to look for those and not have to worry about maybe doing a silverless Ganon. There's no telling when they'll find that bow, but if they find it early, they can really speed up some boss fights.
Of course, you never know, it could even be here in Escape somewhere, but that's just another 10-6. So at least we're going to be nice and stocked on the silver arrows. It's just a matter of when are we going to get to use them.
And since Eastern is a crystal, we know the bow won't be hiding all the way up in Ganon's tower.
Yeah, that's the good news. The fact that Eastern Palace is a crystal dungeon today, and forget the fact that it's a red crystal, just a crystal at all, means that the bow will not be hidden up there, and that means that the bow will be somewhere in the world outside of Ganon's tower. There's a big 20 in the next chest. We're going to head down to the basement. The princess will be in her cell today. There are a couple strategies that runners like to use here. Some will use pots, some will just walk straight up and use sword swings, or even just slash normally like Eriror does. Mikan is using the pot strategy to get a quick critical hit on the Iron Knuckle. Both runners have the big key, both runners have their princess, and both runners have the small key that leads to the back of Escape, which they have to find here, because otherwise they can't save the princess.
Yep, and aside from that key and those silver arrows, as nice as they are, we haven't really found much of anything yet.
Runners are going to be looking for bombs, especially. Despite the very bad joke I made with 2 bombs in the hash about being an explosive seed, they haven't found any of those things yet, and they're going to need those to get into the back of Escape. So it might be time to kill a few rats in the back before continuing. Now, of course, they can come back and get those 3 items later once they, I believe they need the boots to open the tomb to get in. But it saves a lot more time to get them now, especially if there's something handy back there.
It's actually the gloves they need to get back in.
Oh, gloves. My mistake. My mistake.
But it is an interesting choice to farm the bombs now if you have to do that, or try to come back with a glove, because there's no telling when you actually get that glove. In fact, going into the back of Escape from the front this way may be required.
Yeah, if the enemies back here don't drop any bombs at all, if the bombs are not on the prize packs at all, that could make it required that they have to find that glove to get that item once they have bombs later.
Yeah, or it might be required that they get those back of Escape items before they get the glove at all. If the gloves or what locks the gloves is back there.
Well, there's your bombs. We got that figured out.
Yep, it came right out of a chest, so there was no risk at all.
And they won't be spending much more time killing enemies except for another key, I think, later on here. Other than that, we're pretty much clear. And here's that key right now.
So we'll see what actually comes out of the back of Escape, because they still don't really have much. It'll be interesting to see where they decide to go if they don't get progression sooner, or what ends up being their progression.
Well, we got a single arrow, so and a full heart container, so not very much. And Eriror was able to get a nice bomb drop from the enemy there. It still was there when he finished collecting items, so he stopped and picked those up. That'll help him with his Kakariko and other bomb explosiveness. So we're coming out into the sanctuary. We did find the map and the key already, so there's a piece of heart in the final chest.
Alright, and we'll see where the players go from here, although since they don't seem to have very much at the moment, I would imagine they'll both be making their way to Kakariko.
Looks like Eriror is taking the entrance to the Lost Woods first. Mikan is following right behind, so they are both going there first to get those couple items. Looks like they're skipping the lumberjack check.
Yeah, I think a lot of players prefer to skip that check until they have the boots.
Until the boots. Yeah, when they have the boots, they start, and once they have access to Aghanim as it is, that's when they might start worrying about that. Some runners like to get out of the way first just to make sure and just to confirm for themselves that there's nothing of importance. But it really depends how you feel about that. It can neither method is incorrect. One just gives you some information which can be handy if there's something useful at the lumberjack ledge.
Yeah, and of course, especially on a standard scene as you're walking from the sanctuary to Kakariko Village, it's really not that out of the way to go check lumberjack. But it looks like Eriror is going towards the south side of Hyrule for now, and not right away to Kakariko.
Meanwhile, Mikan is heading into Blind Hunt. We're going to get to see what is in there. What are we going to see first? We're going to see a bottle for Eriror. He's going to flood the dam. Mikan finds 10 arrows. Single green rupee. There's 2 of those, I believe. The power glove. And a big 20.
There's something.
And there's $50 for Mikan. So the power glove is a useful item that will give the lifting power. And if they had not been lucky to find the bombs in that chest, they could at least get to the back of Escape now. But, well, that was blue mail, I think, in the flooded spot. Unless I saw that incorrectly.
That was one wet piece of armor.
So Eriror is in Mini Moldorm Cave. Why is it called Mini Moldorm Cave? Because there's 4 Mini Moldorms in here. Logical reason. Mikan is cleaning out the well. Nothing useful so far. Oh, Bombos.
Bombos, and there's another bee in a bottle.
And nothing worth calling out Mini Moldorm Cave, just hearts and arrows. There's the Master Sword from the bottle vendor. What are you doing with that, sir?
He's just holding on to it, you know. Someone pawned it. And of course, it's always nice to see a bottle in Kakariko that you can then immediately take over to the sick kid to claim his item.
Exactly. That's where Mikan's going to be heading next, I believe. And then the back of the tavern. Well, I take that back. He's going a different way. Going to the shop to get some more bombs first. Eriror, meanwhile, is heading into Ice Rod Cave, so we're going to get different item checks again here. There's the hook shot and ice rod cave. That's a better check than the 10 arrows from Sick Kid. So hook shot and ice rod.
Well, that's a very important item that Mikan will have to be sure to get over there and get. He finds the hammer in the tavern.
Those are two very important items. That's most of our Dark World access, except for the Titan's Mitt. To get the full Dark World access, we just need the Moon Pearl as well.
Gloves and hammer just sitting together in Kakariko. It's not a bad thing to find in the first 10 minutes and 30 seconds.
And they're already using that hook shot tech to save some time, clean into a bush and move himself forward a bit quicker. Without the boots, that's a good alternative for getting a little extra speed.
Yep, and of course there was nothing on the race game, so now it looks like the racers will switch places. And Mikan will go and check that South Hyrule while Eriror checks Kakariko.
And Library also had a piece of heart, so we know they won't be going back for that later, most likely. So as you said, they're switching places. They're just covering each other's tracks now. Mikan will eventually go to Ice Rod Cave, find his hook shot. Eriror will find his hammer and his power glove in here. And both runners using different bottles to access Sick Kid, which is an interesting thing to see. Usually you're lucky to find one bottle, but they each had a bottle from their different routes.
Yeah, and both with a B in them.
This better not be another B-Torp seed.
So at the end of this, they're both going to have the hammer, gloves, and hookshot in hand. So where do you think they're going to be heading? And what do you think might be the first divergence we see?
Well, we don't have a mirror, so they can't... Well, actually, you know what they could do? They might be able to go to Tower of Heron with that.
Yeah, they'd have to go all the way around East Death Mountain.
Yeah, but that's a possible play. They could do that. Obviously, they could still go the Eastern Palace area. That's open from the start of the game, but without the bow, they can't complete that. It would be a bit of a risk to do that. They can't go to Desert, and Dark World's not open. So I would say Tower of Heron might be the best bet right now. I believe they can finish that.
Yeah, it depends on whether they find that Moon Pearl soon, because if they don't, or if they don't find the book or the bow, Hera might be the only dungeon they can clear.
I wonder if someone will make a check of Sahasrara before heading up there. But actually, just one more thing I realized too. Even though the runners can theoretically get up to Death Mountain, it would be a sequence break because they don't have the flute, they don't have the lamp. Without those, it is a sequence break. But even with that sequence break in mind, that's a lot of items that are up there, and the runners can get access to everything in the light world. Paradox Cave has 7 items. Spectacle Rock, if they want to work their way around, has a couple items. One inside, one on top. Top one, of course, needing the mirror. If they were to find the book up there, the Ether Medallion is available with the Master Sword and the book. Spiral Cave. If they can't do Spike Cave yet because they would be in bunny form, but that's still a lot of items up there they can get to.
Looks like Eriror's going straight there. Did he even check Sahasrara first? I don't think so.
No, he didn't. Mikan is checking Sahasrara. I think he has a feeling that the access to Death Mountain is the lamp or the flute that's going to be over here. And the flute would be a good item to pick up here, especially because that would give transportation wherever he needs to go in Hyrule. Ooh, gets hit by that bomb a little bit there. Well, we didn't find it here. We just found a shield and some money. A piece of heart from the old man as a tip.
So you think he'll be heading up that mountain next too?
Well, Eriror has to know this is a sequence break. I don't see. I obviously not seeing the light on the cone. Not seeing the light cone is a clear sign that's a sequence break. He also doesn't have the flute, so he just did the dark cave because he's good with the dark cave. He doesn't have a problem doing that. Most top runners in this tournament will be like that. So they try and do this to get an edge with any items that are up here to fill in the gaps later and not have to search for them later. Eriror also wants this tip this back here. Wouldn't it be funny if there's a tip for the lamp or the flute here?
Yep, he's doing the item density play. Seeing as there's really not that many Light World locations left and a lot of items up here, if he finds something useful up here that might in fact make getting that Moon Pearl or whatever else he needs faster, he could give himself an edge if he finds something good up here.
Meanwhile, Mikan right now is looking, I would say, either for lamp, flute for Logic, Death Mountain, book to get into Desert Palace, Moon Pearl for Dark World, or bow to finish this dungeon. Those are pretty much, I think, what he's working with here. But even bow to finish this dungeon, there would have to be another item in here to get to something else. Otherwise, you're pretty much having a hard time here. Boots could be here for Bonk Rocks as well.
Yeah, if he finds the bow but not the lamp, the dungeon will be technically clearable but not in logic.
Correct. Eriror is doing Paradox Cave, the 7 chests that I was mentioning there. 2 items on the ground floor were pretty worthless. Mikan finds the big key, so he's at least got that option open to him for Eastern Palace. And there's a single green rupee. I think that was a fire rod.
Mikan gets a big chest Swamp Palace hint. It's nothing.
Oh, it was an ice rod. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It looks like Eriror did find the ice rod in that Paradox Cave.
So the ice rod isn't the most useful item. It will freeze enemies, but it will not kill a lot of enemies. I think it can be used on Land Molus in terms of bosses. And other than that, it's required for Trinex later on. But most of what it does is freezing enemies. You don't even get it as an uncle item in a standard randomized swords seed because it just freezes a lot of enemies. It doesn't kill the guards. It freezes them so you can throw them around. That's pretty much it. I'm not seeing anything.
Since we haven't got a Dark World map check just yet, we don't even know if TR is required yet.
This is getting into a bit of a messy setup here. Where else can Mikan go that is actually in logic? He might have to consider going to Zora to possibly figure out. That might be where the progression is actually, Zora. He can't check any of the in logic. The hobo and the waterfall cave chests are not in logic.
And it looks like a unique item requires the boots.
Ooh. Mikan is heading to the Lumberjack. I think he's getting worried that there might be some Aghanim required progression here. Nope, just a piece of heart.
And we checked the library, so it'll be interesting to see where that unique boots item is.
It could be Desert Palace, the torch. Could even be something on the torch in Ganon's Tower.
That's true.
At this point, though, I am thinking, well, there's the bow. So this is out of logic for Eriror to have that bow, but that bow is nonetheless going to be something very, very useful to have. That might lead him towards Eastern Palace now, even though that clear would also be out of logic. I am thinking that Zora King most likely has something, however. It's the most logical thing I can think of to try and tie things together.
Well, what's left for our logical progression anyway? Am I forgetting something besides just Zora and Agina?
Agina, yes, that would be another option. I think that's it for logic.
Yeah, but of course, with that sequence broken bow, Eriror is going to go do a sequence broken Eastern Palace, and he's going to get that finished right away.
No reason not to. That he had, like, as I said, most runners in this tournament, that are left in this tournament anyway, will be okay with doing the dark rooms for Eastern Palace and and pretty much anywhere else. Eastern Palace especially has some of the more easier dark rooms in the game, so he will have no problem doing those today. And he will finish that Eastern Palace and at least get that crystal, 5/6 crystal, off his agenda.
Yeah, if it turns out that that progression we're missing from Zora or Agina is the lamp, then we might never see it.
Yeah, that would be the thing that would tie the seed together. And as you said, if it's the lamp, we'll never see it. If it's the flute, we might have to see it eventually. And I'm almost seeing it being one of those at this point. Though, again, it could be the book leading to the Moon Pearl leading to the Dark World to find it as well.
Yeah, still many possibilities. I think Mikan might be going to Zora.
It's a good play. I like the play. He has enough money, get it out of the way, and just make sure that it's not something super important here.
So I thought I saw him going up to Death Mountain, but it looks like he decided against it.
He probably realizes that there's a lot of sequence breaking happening on Death Mountain, and even though we know there's not a lot up there, like the bow was up there in Spiral Cave, I don't think there was much else of worth that I remember seeing up there. So
the Ice Rod as well.
Oh, the Ice Rod was up there too? Okay, correct. Though not as important. It can be an important item depending on if Try Next would be needed. Yeah, it's either Zora or Agina at this point. So we'll see what the King Zora has in just a moment, as Eriror gets his big key from the second chest there, or it might be the third by now. In case we didn't mention it earlier, the piece of heart in the big chest of Swamp Palace, that will be something that gets most likely ignored. And for $500, oh, we called it. The lamp was at the King Zora. So there's your logic tie together. Death Mountain, Eastern Palace are now completely in logic, or Eriror probably suspects it's the lamp in one of those locations, but even if he doesn't, we know it is completely in logic for him to be doing Eastern Palace at this point. He just doesn't have that lamp yet.
All right, so it's possible that Eri will never get up there. And if he doesn't, and he's comfortable with the dark rooms, that could be a time save over Mikan. Although I wonder if Mikan will appreciate having that lamp.
Mikan probably want to rule it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, chat is reminding me that that's also our first fire source, which he can use to check the basement in Hera.
That's correct. That could be an item in in the basement, I mean. From King Zora's lamp, my mistake. That could be an item in the basement as well that could be in logic now. And I don't know if we saw the big key, because Mikan left very quickly when he went to Tower of Hera. Did he not get the big key in those first two locations? That might be the big key in the basement. So there's the Ice Rod from Mikan. And heading outside Paradox Cave, Eriror is almost to the Armos Knights. And this right here is why the bow is required in Eastern Palace. These red Igors can't be killed any other way. And these Armos Knights, they're really, really soft to these silver arrows. One shot in each one and they're gone.
Yeah, so sometimes if you go to the next tab at the wrong time, you can just not even see that fight happened. But yeah, those flippers on the Armos Knights are going to be important.
Yeah, those flippers are going to be very handy. That's gonna open up the rest of the chest. Isn't it? Let's look at the logic so far. This is kind of silly. We needed to go to King Zora to get the lamp, to finish the Eastern Palace, to get the flippers, to make swimming in the King Zora area and other chests like Hobo and the Waterfall Cave possible.
Yes, and neither runner's sequence broke the Waterfall Cave or the Hobo either. So Mikan's heading for the basement, and unlike Eri, he will be able to finish this. Depending on if Eri finds the fire rod soon, he may have to go get the lamp anyway.
Apparently, I misspoke. It was Eriror, because he was the one on Death Mountain who went to Hera. Mikan obviously never did because he hadn't been to Death Mountain yet. I believe I did misspeak on that. So he is getting the item from the basement now. I think this is where the big key was located. So we're going to find out in just a moment when he gets in that area. We're coming down from the Hobo area. Going to likely head to the portal now. Yep, there's that big key. And Mikan is going to take the Death Warp from here, take some Stealthful's abuse, and when they eventually agree to kill him, there we go. There's the boots, meanwhile, Waterfall Cave, and there's the cape.
Two very nice items to find in that cave, especially since we know the boots lock a unique item.
What that unique item is, we'll find out later, but either way, they can get that unique item now if it's something of interest and not something like a boomerang.
Yeah. We've already found our silver arrow, if I recall.
We did very quickly in the third chest of the game below Uncle. Ryra now gets his lamp. And he's now realizing that Eastern Palace, clear they just did, is now completely illogic, and so is all of his Death Mountain checking. A unique item in Palace of Darkness. Well, given there's 5 items to check there, that's very useful. Thank you, game.
So Eri doing stuff the way he did means he's going to have to make another trip up Death Mountain to finish Hera, but he will have finished Eastern a bit quicker.
There's your Moon Pearl. Bonk rocks. Boy, look at the logic so far. We had to go to... By logic, we had to go to Hera. Not Hera, to King Zora. Get the lamp. Finish Eastern Palace to get the flippers. Use the flippers to get to Waterfall Cave for the boots. Use the boots to get the Moon Pearl from Bonk Rocks. And this seed is only starting.
Yeah, so I'm inclined to say that so far Mikan's routing has been better, seeing as he has only had to make the one trip up Death Mountain and could get everything.
Right, he cleared Tower Hera in one go, whereas Ryra's going to have to make a return trip. So at this point, go ahead.
Unfortunately, Eri's sequence break didn't quite pay off as he was maybe hoping, because while he did get that bow and was able to do Eastern a little quicker, he wasn't able to skip Zora.
Yeah, he did get the... Oh, there's our Dark World map check, by the way. Pendants on Turtle Rock. I think that was a green at Skull Woods and Thieves Town. And Mikan gets his bow and now knows he has to go back and clear Eastern Palace. So here's where the checks will kind of even themselves out here. Eriror did go to Tower Hera a little early, but Mikan also went to the Eastern Palace area a little early. So they might even out a little bit here. I don't think either's really too far in the lead right now. If anything, Mikan maybe slightly, because I think the time loss in the original Eastern Palace area check, he didn't go... I don't think he went into Eastern Palace at all. is a lot less time spent.
He did actually. I think he
He did? Okay.
He dipped Eastern first, in fact.
That's right.
Unless
okay.
unless I'm misremembering it too.
No, you might be right now that I'm thinking about it. Meanwhile, Quake does appear in Thieves Town, first chest that Eriror checked. Didn't waste any time getting to the Dark World and starting the Thieves Town chests. And actually, that was the second chest I think he checked.
So, remind me, was there anything actually in the Tower of Hera that's going to compel Eri to go back up there soon? Because otherwise he may save that tower until much later in the game.
The big key is in the basement, so I don't think I saw anything worthwhile upstairs that I can recall. Off the top of my head, I don't think so. So Eriror could go back later and wouldn't be penalized for it, assuming that I'm remembering that correctly. Now, the only way that would penalize him is if Pyramid Fairy actually did hold something today, knowing that both Eastern Palace and Tower of Hera can already be fully cleared. And in fact, each has cleared one of those dungeons. Pyramid Fairy is immediately available today. The lamp can be bought. Thanks, game.
Yeah, I forgot. Hera had our 5-6 crystal there. So Mikan is about to get his second 5-6 crystal and might check that Pyramid Fairy pretty soon. After he gets his Dark World access anyway.
Pyramid Fairy could be a good gamble today, or it could just be a bust. That's a lot of time to get that item later on, one way or the other. So if he gets it early, that could be a really good payoff for him if it's something important.
Yeah, Eri is making a gamble on this pendant Thieves Town pretty early on.
There are 4 items in chests that are not unique to the dungeon. So it is possible that there could be something of worth in here, and Thieves Town is usually a good gamble, even if it is a pendant, just because it's available early, and very often you can find something of use in here, even if you may not have to defeat blinds, so we may end up not taking the princess back to the boss room. And he has the hammer, so you can check that item with the... everything's all lined up for him to get all the items, so if he knows a blind has a compass or a map, he doesn't have to beat blind. He's in good position for a death warp as well, 1.5 hearts left.
Yep. So doing this and doing the sequence break earlier, I suppose he's feeling lucky. Or at least he's feeling pretty dangerous.
So noting that the shovel was in Thieves Town as well, that opens up the shovel spot. So when we do get Titan's Mitt later, assuming that they find the mirror, they'll be able to route that in with checking Stumpy and going along the path with the purple chest later. Eriror must have decided, no, the blind is not important, so just saved and noped out of there.
Yeah, with the shovel being really the only maybe notable thing he pulled out of there.
Eriror is heading to Hype Cave. So, ladies and gentlemen, get your hype in chat for Hype Cave. 5 unique items in here. Let's find out what those are, and we'll see how good this Hype Cave, see how hyped this Hype Cave is today. Mikan, meanwhile, is getting his cape and his boots. Okay, I'm going to call that Financial Cave.
Absolutely nothing of worth in Hype Cave.
I mean, you had to get to the Dark World just to come to Hype Cave, and that means that you had to go through a whole chain, starting at King Zora to get the boots, and the Moon Pearl, and the flippers, and all that. So, the logic expected you to already have King Zora's item purchased to get here, and therefore that Hypercade was not of any value.
Eri's heading to Pod. Didn't even check that dig spot before he went to see if maybe his Thieves Town gamble could have paid off. I guess he's already written that off his lost time.
He's gonna route in with Stumpy later, I believe. When he's hoping that the mirror is not in that spot, so he can route in with those checks once he does have the mirror later. That would also open up K45 nearby for a later check as well. So that's 2 mirror checks on that route. No reason to do the for him to consider doing the shovel spot until he has the ability to do a lot more checks in that area for item density.
Yeah, that's true. Mikan, meanwhile, checking Skullwoods.
This is our first check here today. Piece of heart in the first chest, so still a few more chests you can check here. Eriror bets he would like to have more bombs. Thank you, hint tile. So just to clarify those hint tiles, we saw 1 or 2 others of those already, one mentioning a cup of tea. Those green hints with the link face are obviously hints that are just joke hints. There's the King of Samaria from Mikan, by the way. Those joke hints basically mean nothing, and they're hints you can feel free to ignore. King of Samaria, meanwhile, opens up... while the main things opens up are some things in Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, and I think also an access to the boss in Ice Palace. But other than that, it's just a good magic land to have. Gives some more options for attacking.
Yep, famously, the cane allows you to skip the whole puzzle in Ice Palace with Crystal Switch, although most players do that anyway by doing the bomb jump. There is also always the possibility that Ice Palace is logically cane locked. Although, again, in that case, wouldn't matter if he did the bomb jump.
We now know where all 3 of our medallions are. Mikan just found the Ether medallion, and Eriror already has the Quake medallion. So whatever medallions are on Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, we can get inside, so it doesn't matter what they are today. We'll find out what those are later, though.
And Mikan's gonna take that Thieves Town dive as well, while Eri goes further into Pod.
The item that Eriror just picked up, by the way, was a 10 bomb pack in randomized swords, where the sword is not guaranteed to be on the Uncle. That 10 bomb pack is something that was added to the prize pool when that version was introduced, when that mode of play was introduced, and that's because that's one of the items that he can give you as a method to clear escape. You have to use bombs as your weapon to escape to clear it, and you may or may not get another weapon.
Eri found the mirror in Pod.
That's a very good find. So this will make his holding off on doing the shovel check a lot better, because now he can route in other checks with it.
And the flute as well.
Mikan gets a nice dash through the one of the rooms that I know can soft lock this dungeon, and that is because of an enemy is killed in the wrong spot. You can wind up soft locking yourself and have to go back to the start.
So, in one fell swoop here, Ares opened up Swamp Palace, Mire, and Desert Palace.
That's correct. Just to note regarding Desert Palace, for those who might be new to the randomizer, normally you need the book to enter Desert Palace, but in randomizer, if you get the flute, you can flute to that spot above the desert. Go down the... you would need the Titan's Mitt to lift the rock to get into Misery Mire, but then you would be able to use the mirror to get back to Desert Palace and go in the back way. They still would need the Titan's Mitt to do that, however.
All right, so Desert and Mire aren't quite open yet without those mitts. I got a little ahead of myself. And if Eri wants to finish Mire, of course, he'll also have to get that cane out of Pendant Skull Woods.
And Eriror is heading up into Homosar King, and this is probably one of the most fun fights of the game because you get to pound a mask with a hammer. And mask hammer complete. One silver arrow into the jewel on the skull, and that's the fight.
Isn't it a shame you don't have access to silvers for more of these bosses in the vanilla game?
Yeah, that is too bad. A baker's job is a piece of cake. Thank you, Blind. Thank you. Very good blind fight. If you can... Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say Mikan finishes that off with no damage. I believe he managed to stay entirely on script there.
He did.
For those who don't know, the first time you fight Blind, his actions are fairly scripted so that if you do the same thing every time, the fight will always go the same way.
Yeah, and that's why runners will obviously want to take out Blind in one go if they can. Eriror, meanwhile, is unlocking the Swag Duck flights, so he will be able to fly around the overworld, at least the light world, starting right about now.
We'll see where he has that duck take him first.
And it looks like the first landing spot is Death Mountain. There's your Titan's Mitt over in the digging game. So that would unlock Misery Mire and Desert Palace right there.
I think Eri must be going back to finish Hera because there's not really anything else he can do on the mountain. Seeing as he won't really find much aside from the crystal itself, I wonder if this play is really the best from him, unless the Pyramid Fairy has something.
Well, let's think of what's left that the Pyramid Fairy could have. There's half magic, by the way, in the hammer pegs. We know the ether has been found, so it's not the ether dying in the event that the dungeons need that. Spices may not be considered, mushroom may not be considered, boomerangs. It could only be the fire rod, I think, that could be left there. I think that's the only item that both runners have not found that could possibly lock progression. The book is no longer necessary unless that itself locks the fire rod, so I think we are actually just a fire rod away from no mode.
Seeing as Skull and TR are both pendants, is it possible the fire rod may not be required at all?
That's a very good question. That might be the case. Because there's nothing else I think that they would need. It doesn't seem right to say we're in no mode 44 minutes into a seed.
And of course, he's not in go mode yet because he doesn't have the mirror, while Aries missing the cane.
Yeah, that's exactly what is needed. And of course, he may need that ether as well, which Mikan did find. Ryder has not found that yet.
Yeah, so unless I'm forgetting about some kind of other fire rod requirement, this might be a 44-minute no mode.
Mikan is following my original train of thought here and going to Pyramid Fairy. So we are going to find out what is there regardless. If it were to be the fire rod, that could be a bit of a, at this point, a bit of a stale breadcrumb for him at this point, because it looks like that would be the only thing that could possibly be needed. But with both those dungeons being pendants anyway, they really are not needed. So this could just lead him into those dungeons unnecessarily to finish them.
Yeah, and at this point, are there really any items that Mothula or Trinex could be holding that would be any use aside from, I suppose, a sword upgrade or an armor upgrade?
Or a swag net. I mean, you gotta have the swag net, right?
Oh, that's true. There was a blue boomerang on the pyramid.
Oh, there's the cane of Burna. So, Brian, the pyramid had your cane. Please come pick it up. There is one thing I am thinking about now. The fire rod would theoretically be needed, possibly to light some torches. But as you mentioned, with Turtle Rock being a pendant, it wouldn't be for Turtle Rock. It might be a Ganon's Tower thing, if anything. Though it would make things a little bit more convenient there. I think it can be done with the lamp, though it might be a lot tougher.
He's gonna head into swamp.
Now, let's just think what Eriror is missing. Eriror is missing the Cane of Samaria. Now, we know Mikan did find that. I'm trying to remember where that was. But I think
that was in Skull Woods.
Skull Woods, yes. So that appears to be the only thing that he is missing. So when he goes to Skull Woods, the boots are at the waterfall. Thank you, game, since we already have them.
Yes, that does mean that Eri needs to dive that pendant Skull Woods, and in the meantime, he's going to be full clearing all these crystal dungeons.
Now, depending on when Mikan goes to, and again, we don't know if Eriror might need the Aether Medallion too. I think that was in Skull Woods as well, if I remember correctly. So, depending on when Eriror goes to get those items, that's a huge time detriment. And given that he has several dungeons he can clear right now, he's going to do those dungeons first before going back to any of those, before going back to Skull Woods, I think.
Meanwhile, Mikan is not far from getting both his mirror and flute, which, if I'm not mistaken, will put him in go mode.
I think that is right. I can't see any other way to look at it. Those items just came fast in this seed.
Yeah, we had a very loaded early Kakariko with our gloves and our hammer right together, and then everything else was just not too far away.
And then Ice Rod Cave also had an important item as well. And yeah, the silvers came early. The hook shot was an Ice Rod, I believe. And the whole chain of items that just started from the boots, that entire chain of items, so early as Mikan now gets his mirror and should be getting his flute very soon. But that entire chain of items literally led to a very speedy situation where you already have pretty much everything you need just because they locked each other very, very early in the seed. And there it is at 50 minutes, 24 seconds. We're just going to say that Mikan is in go mode.
He's in very probable go mode.
The only thing that could be making that a non-go mode would be if the fire rod were logically needed in Ganon's tower for that right side. But that leads to the question of Mikan being comfortable with the bomb jump on that side in the event that were to be needed.
I've never actually seen a bomb jump in that room.
I have. It's very difficult. Now, if he keeps checking chests, we can say at that point he's not considering it go mode until he gets that fire rod. We know that it can be go mode, not by the logic, but that it can be go mode.
Yeah, of course, with Skullwoods and TR being pendants, the fire rod could be waiting for him on that left side of Ganon's tower.
It very well could be.
Could even be behind Ice Armos with the big key on the right side.
I look forward to seeing if this fire rod actually turns up somewhere to make us find out. Well, the question will be, will Mikan be comfortable in the event he doesn't get the fire rod to try that? Or will he want to insist on getting that fire rod? It depends on how, because it is a very hard bomb jump, it depends on how comfortable he and Eriror are with that possibility. We know this big chest is useless. Eriror opens it anyway and gets this piece of heart out of it.
I think Eriror must have got that hint because it was right on the way in East Palace. So he saw the hint that that big chest was useless, but he just forgot, I guess.
Yeah, I guess he probably forgot. Both runners did see that hint.
Did he do left side swamp while he was in there as well?
I didn't notice. But I am noticing that for those in the live chat, there is a clip just posted a moment ago in the live chat about showing that right side Ganon's Tower bomb jump. I think this is the clip that I saw it in as well, and very, very difficult bomb jump to execute, and very, very tight timing on it. Right, we're checking the dig spot right now. Nothing useful. So again, is heading into Kakariko Village. Eriror is also checking the big bomb. We know that the big bomb won't do anything here useful for him, but he's checking it. And Mikan's bird is loose.
And off he goes to the mire area.
Seems logical. By the way, that blue boomerang was on the pyramid ledge. I didn't catch that earlier, but I see it there now.
So after Mikan checks these mire area chests, since he's still checking overworld chests, I guess he is still looking for the fire rod.
Yeah, he must be. Go ahead.
Sorry, but after he checks these, he'll be right in the area to clear desert and mire one right after the other.
And that's what he's doing, but he's obviously going to go looking for that big key right now at the very least. And probably will check. It looks like he is checking for that fire rod. He surely knows he's in go mode without it, but just obviously wants it for Ganon's Tower for a level of comfort related to piece of heart as hell with the fishes. Thank you. So probably just wants to confirm where that is and be very much more comfortable with his positioning. By the way, we know that this catfish has a piece of heart because it's with the fishes. So let's just see it. Bingo. Thank you for the foreshadowing, Mikan. And there's the big key, and he didn't check the other chest. Maybe he has... Maybe was counting items then, because we know he's been checking chests anyway, so maybe he just counted the items and I didn't catch him getting both items.
He's gonna see if Lanmo has the last item, maybe.
That makes sense too.
Although I'm not certain. I wasn't really counting his items either.
There would be a bit of a time loss. I have to go back and get the item in that last chest later. So hopefully Lanmo does have the last item.
So it looks to me like of all the gambles that have taken place so far in this race, going to Skullwoods early and getting that cane is really paying off for Mikan.
It definitely is. Eriror, by the way, has Ether, and it was actually in the C-shaped house, not in Skullwoods with the cane. The cane was in Skullwoods.
Yeah, they both have their full suite of medallions now.
The coin collection is complete.
Even though Mikan hasn't actually used that cane yet, having it just means that he knows that he's in go mode, save the fire rod. And also that he knows that he can do my right after desert here.
And speaking of desert, that was a beautiful Landmolus fight. I want to call that pretty much almost a zero cycle. They shot him just as they came up from the ground. All three snakes.
One cycle Landmo fight with those silver arrows is always a thing to behold.
It is. So both runners have 4 crystals. The only difference is that Eriror did complete Palace of Darkness, which pretty much you have to get a couple keys to do anyway. So, but a lot of checks you don't have to check when you're go-moding the place. Oh, yeah, actually, I'm saying the wrong one. It's Swamp Palace that Eriror has cleared, which is one you pretty much have to do. You can God mode that without having to check everything. Eriror did check everything in that dungeon, and Mikan's just going to be able to go in, take the small key, and God mode the place.
Yeah, that'll be a pretty significant time difference for the two of them. That being one of 2 dungeons in the game with a notable time difference between go moding and full clearing.
But aside from the Swamp Palace for Eriror and the one that Mikan did is Desert Palace, so switch those around. Aside from that, both runners still would need Ice Palace and Misery Mire. Mikan is doing Misery Mire right now.
Harry finds a bottle on the graveyard ledge and leaves it where it is.
2 bottles usually is enough at this point. If runners were to need medicine, they'll fill those up. Eriror seems to be checking. Nope, he's going into Skullwoods. I thought I might go into Bumper Ledge for a moment. There is this big key for Mire. Mikan is continuing to... Oh, just going straight to video, I think.
Looks like Eri's going to get the cane soon, but he is still missing the Titan's mitts, which were from the digging game.
Yeah, those Titan mitts are going to be important.
In fact, might even say that as of this moment, missing those mitts is hurting Eri a lot more than missing the cane is.
I might be inclined to agree. But Eri is in Skull Woods right now. He is going to be getting that cane. He's just going to be wondering where those Titan's mitts could be. You know what I just realized?
Yeah.
What if the Titan's mitts were in one of those... Not the Titan's mitts, the... I'm just trying to think if anything could be on Mothula right now. No, I'm just thinking out things that don't make sense here because there's Titan's mitts we already know where they are. So, of course, they can't be on now independent dungeons.
Could be a sword, maybe?
It could be the Tempered Sword because by logic, the Tempered Sword has to be available for the final fight. Of course, if all chest locations are checked, the Butter Sword will be found anyway.
Does it? I think Ganon only requires the Master Sword.
The logic requires the Tempered Sword, but the game can be completed using only the Master Sword, yes.
Well, it's kind of just a thought exercise anyway, because by the time you get to Ganon, you should have all chests in the game available.
Now, if you're 100% in the game, you're going to have the Butter Sword anyway, but 100% is not typically a mode you see in Randomizer, because it's less fun having to go and find all the heart pieces and such. So that's not a mode that you often see run. Would be interesting to see who can 100% the game fastest, but probably not as fun as other modes. So, Mikan did complete his Misery Mire. Meanwhile, Eriror is heading to Misery Mire now. We do know also that Bombos is what opens Misery Mire now, but again, we had all 3 medallions, so it really didn't matter anyway, as Eriror is going to get some fried drumsticks from the Murder Dactyl.
Yep, and we forgot to mention that upon picking up those Titan's mitts from the digging game, Eri as well has entered the Go mode save Fire Rod.
Yes, I don't see it marked on the tracker yet, but to get here, he would have needed to have the Titan's mitts. So, yes, Eriror is also in sort of Go mode.
Yep, he picked those up from the dig game. Only one dig it took.
Very nice. Mikan is not checking the chests in Skull Woods or in Swamp Palace. It looks like he might have realized after doing a few more checks that he actually is in Go mode.
Yep, and that tells us that he does in fact consider himself in Go mode, as in he's not gonna keep looking for that Fire Rod unless it's on his way.
I'm sure he'll feel a lot better to have it, but at the same time, he probably doesn't mind trying the bomb jump in there. Very difficult bomb jump, but he will. It looks like he will be attempting it, if necessary.
Well, 18 other chests in Ganon's Tower that he can check before it comes to that. But that is 4 chests locked behind those torches. We often give much to do about the boots on the torch scenario. This scenario is actually more likely.
No, I know when I talk about the Ganon's Tower big key guessing game, I always like to say it's number 11, but I can almost see Mikan having to... I actually want to see Mikan and Ryra have to try that bomb jump if they don't find the fire rod today. So I'm kind of hoping, as we find the red mail in Swamp Palace, which Ryra did not pick up while he was in Swamp Palace. He had not checked that chest, apparently. Either that or it's not marked on the tracker. So I kind of want to see them have to try that bomb jump just to see how they handle it. These again are top runners, so I'm definitely in favor of seeing them try one of these very difficult strats.
Yeah, these guys didn't make it to bracket stages for nothing.
Yeah, they had to win a lot of games to get in here. Can use the boost dash way to get the last couple of our guy far enough away, and he is now going
We're gonna see. I thought we were gonna see Ice Rod strats. Looks like he's going with the silver arrows instead.
Yep. So we have some calamari from the octopus. Kind of convenient to get the big key from the boss, isn't it? And Eriror gets his catfish hint. Thanks, game, since he picked that up.
That big key from the boss is kind of a last insult. If you want this item, you better go back in. Of course we know from a hint that it's nothing, and it looks like Mikan remembers that because he's not going back in, unlike Eri. Well, he was in effective go mode anyway, so.
Yep. And we know the other chest on the right side of Desert was just bombs now. Ryra just opened it. So this is the last dungeon for Mikan to clear before he has to go Ganon's Tower. He has the other 6 crystals. This is crystal number 7 for him. So we will soon be going to Ganon's Tower. We will soon be getting to see if that big chest is actually, or if that big key rather, is fire rod locked or not.
He's going for his last crystal at just 1 hour and 7 minutes. And what's interesting is that assuming that fire rod isn't needed or is found somewhere in here, it looks like Thieves Town and Turtle Rock were both not required to enter at all.
Yeah, it's always a good day when you don't have to go into Turtle Rock at all. That's a very long dungeon to complete, even if you're trying to go mode it. Very, very long dungeon to complete. So if you can avoid that, it's a good day.
Harry's heading into Swamp as well. This will also be his last crystal, so he's actually not that far behind Mikan, only a couple of minutes.
No, he's not too far behind at all. This should be a very exciting race when it comes down to Ganon's Tower.
So it looks like Aries' big time losses were 1, full clearing Swamp, and 2, sequence breaking the mountain, so he had to go up a second time to complete Era. Although with that sequence broken bow, he completed Eastern for the flippers a bit sooner, which got him his boots out of Waterfall Cave a bit sooner than Mikan got them.
Yeah, I think in the long run, I would have to say that execution may have played a role. Only yes, it saved time not having to climb the mountain a second time, but at the same time, it also saved time the other way, not having to go through Eastern Palace a second time. So I guess I would say it came down to execution mostly, as there's not really too much more that I can pinpoint as a loss of time. It was just a very, very quick go mode. The items came very, very quickly. Eriror's main problem, I think, was not finding the cane as soon as Mikan did, and if anything, that might have cost him a couple minutes, but not too much time, I don't think. Mikan, meanwhile, did lose the Cold Stare eyes out of the corner. They all got split up, so he had to spend some time hunting them down with a hammer. But that does put Mikan at 7 crystals, and that means, ladies and gentlemen, we have a game that we have to play here in the Twitch chat. If you are a subscriber to the channel or donate 250 bits or more, you can play our big key guessing game, number 1 to 22, to guess where the key is in Ganon's Tower. Shularoon, where do you think it is today?
Oh man, I always go with my number 14. Yourself?
Well, I always say 11, but someone beat me in chat to it today, so I'm going to actually change it up here. I'm going to go ahead and pick 19 just because I think that I want to see the fire rod over on that side today.
You mean the big key?
Yeah. I mean the big key, yeah.
And we don't want to see the fire rod just being here in Ganon's Tower if we want to see that bomb jump.
Yeah, I want to see the bomb jump. That would be nice to see today. To see the fire rod would have been inside Turtle Rock somewhere, and there's no way they were going to go Turtle Rock today. So that would be forcing them to possibly find the big key there. It probably won't be over there. And watch it be 11 today. Watch it be 11. Oh, we are getting a check on the Super Bunny chest on the way up, too, since they were in the way.
Yeah, I almost forgot that we hadn't checked those yet.
Yeah, it shows you what kind of sea it was when we didn't even check the Super Bunny chests. Oh, we're getting hookshot. He still wants that fire rod.
He could also be looking for a sword.
Hey, we found the book.
Because unless we find another sword at this point, we're going to be seeing Master Sword Ganon. They have the silvers, so it's not that much of a hurdle, but it is pretty long to do all those spins.
Well, no sword, no fire rod. And by the way, Eriror is right on Mikan's heels climbing Death Mountain. Let's see if he makes those checks. Mikan, meanwhile, you can't use the Master Sword on those Lionels, so you notice the Lionel took no damage when Mikan dashed through it. He took damage instead. So the bridge lowers, and we'll be stopping the game in just a moment. If you're hearing me right now, you probably got about a second left. And good luck, everyone, as we find no way.
There it is in chest number 1, the fire rod.
So if we need proof that Swamp Palace, Mothula, and Turtle Rock Trinex were not required today, there's your proof, ladies and gentlemen. The fire rod is in Ganon's Tower. We're not going to get to see the beautiful bomb jump over here today. We're just going to see it done normally. So Mikan at this point is definitively in go mode, and I think Eriror will be very shortly as well.
Yeah. Contrarily, the Bombos was required to get through Ice Palace.
It was. So speaking of those 4 chests over here, now that we found the fire rod, there's just a lot of money over here. So I hope you enjoyed your check with the fire rod. Have a nice day. As Mikan goes back to the start of the castle and starts left side climb.
All right, and that's 6 chests checked.
And there's a big 20 on the torch, so it's not that. 7. Now they're not. This would be out of where I would normally put 11 anyway, so I don't feel bad about changing it up now. As we're now coming up on 8 to 11, there's a small key. There's a full heart container. Some bombs. And another small key, so not yet.
Both of our runners seem to be going for this fairly
There it
standard
is.
play. There it is. That was chest number 12, I believe.
Correct. Chest number 12 was the big, I should say location because the torch counts. Location number 12 today was the big key, and we're going to get a winner for that in just a moment here. So as we're getting the winner for that, I should say that we're going to have
It was Fire Mike Brown. It's the first guest 12.
Well, we have it a different way. Sub or supporter is it was Meg B who looks like the first sub or supporter who actually got the guess. But congratulations to both of them. I guess you can say they both won to that extent. They both got the right number. But for the guessing game, Meg B was the winner. And for those of you watching the VOD on YouTube or even here on Twitch after the fact and wondering what the guessing game is I'm talking about, this is something we do in the live Twitch chat. Come down to watch race with us here in our Twitch channel sometime, and you can take part too.
Congratulations to Mag B for being the first supporter to get it. But Fire Mike Brown, you're the winner in my heart.
So Ryder is now going to get, I think he did right side as well based on how far behind he is. So he's going to be getting his chest number 12 very soon, location number 12. And that will be his big key, and that will be his climb up Ganon's Tower. So this is still a close race. Anything can happen. Mikan could suffer a fall to Ganon somewhere, and that could cost him about a minute and a half, depending where he is. So that would make this a very, very close race between him and Eriror at this point. But barring any difficulty, barring any problems with, I'm going to go ahead and just say Trolldorm, as that's what he's known as to fans. Barring any problems, he could be walking away with this, and this could be a 2-0 victory for him very shortly.
Yeah, aside from falls to Trolldorm or, of course, the falls to Ganon, I'm not seeing a lot of ways for Eriror to catch up. Mikan would have to make some pretty bad mistakes at this point.
Again, a couple falls to Moldorm 2 could be just what Eriror needs. Eriror's starting his Cannonball Red right now. He's about to climb into the gauntlet. He's going to stop and get a fairy first. No swag nest. He's just going to run into them and collect them. There we go. Full health.
Yeah, supposing either of them attempts the Moldorm hover, that might turn things around.
I don't think either runner is going to do that. I'm not sure if either of these runners does hover.
Yeah, both of them are climbing Ganon's Tower at sub 120. Do you think they both feel like they're in a pretty good position?
I would not be surprised if they both feel they're ahead. Mikan is checking chest. He still wants that sword. None here. So yeah, I think both feel like they're in a pretty good position. Again, something I didn't mention, Master Sword Ganon could also have something to say with it. Better skill on Master Sword Ganon could have something to do with how this seed finishes today. Mikan just working his way around to the chest. Still no sword. He probably will check the Moldorm 2 chest at the moment. That will be the last chest he can check here in Ganon's Tower. Unless he goes back and does the rest of the left side, of course. And we will find out whether That has a sword in just a moment. One more hammer hit. Oh, there it is. Eriror just getting rid of land moles right now, so sync boss kills, just different screens. There's a bottle!
Also containing a bee.
So 3 bottles, 3 bees. I would say Beator definitely had an influence on this seed. So we're in the triangle fight right now, and we're just trying to fling these orbs back at Aghanim. Now, I think the Aghanim here, whether he fires blue balls or not, is the same pattern as the Aghanim 1. I've been noticing that on seeds that were Aghanim required. But either way, the blue balls cannot be reflected back at Aghanim, only the solid orbs that the clones will always throw. So there's always going to be 2 orbs that can be flung back at Aghanim, guaranteed.
Nice quick kill here.
Very nicely done. Eriror ends up falling back to the 5th floor, loses a little bit of time there.
He ran out of magic and fell down to get that large magic decanter.
Mm-hmm. He did not get the half magic from the hammer pegs. Is it weird? Does that hole in the pyramid look like a cuckoo?
A little bit. It is oddly shaped.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's made with a sort of Bugs Bunny logic, that it's taking sort of the rough shape of the Ganon bat and its wings.
Yeah. It just seems to resemble cuckoo when I was looking at it right now. Don't know why.
Good corner position there, although it wasn't in phase 2 yet.
Yeah, the Master Sword Ganon fight is not fun. This is why Mikan was still looking for another sword, so he wouldn't have to do this.
12 spins per phase, if I'm not mistaken. With the Master Sword, unlike Tempered or Gold, only spins can harm Ganon.
You are correct. Only spins will work, and I believe you are right. I believe it is 12. Eriror is trying to catch up fast in his own triangle fight. There's a double right away to start it off.
Mikan makes it to phase 2. Oh, sorry, he was already in phase 2. But he has already taken some hits from those bats.
Okay, he's on phase 3.
Damage boosted through a few of them while he was recoiling from those spins, but he's made it to phase 3 at this point. Running low on magic, though. I don't think he has any potions.
Okay, Eriror is right behind. Mikan better not miss now. Did you find the arrows in Hyrule Castle? Well, it was kind of hard not to, Ganon, you see.
Oh, he had a blue potion. I didn't see him get that. This is the torch glitch, but with that magic refill, he shouldn't be in too bad a spot.
Now the silver arrows will still work. He can use the Master Sword spin and get the silver arrow in. He wants to try and get a nice hit in a good spot. A good freeze on Ganon, a certain pattern will make it possible to get a double or a triple. It didn't get it that time, but this should be a double. Tried for the triple, didn't get it. But one more hit should do it. Get over there, hurry up. Didn't have time. But should get it here. This is it. This is going to be a good game. There it is. Get your GGs in chat, ladies and gentlemen, as Mikan is the first to take out Ganon, should be crossing a 3-tile bridge, and should be claiming a 2-0 victory in this matchup against Eriror right now. And we have an official SRL time, which I have to find in the channel here. An official SRL time of 1:24:16.
Certainly a super fast seed, one of the fastest seeds I've seen yet, in fact.
So Eriror is now on phase 3. Let's see if he... I'm sure he's going to try to finish this out here if he can.
Oh no, he's taking a fall.
Oh no. Now, something I'm going to note here is that at this point, Eriror had put a forfeit in the chat, but it looks like he might have continued, might have put in an actual finishing time. So we're going to kind of hold the phone for Eriror here, as I believe that he does go back and continue this. Keep in mind, we are on a 20-minute delay here. So for now, we're going to see if we can get Mikan in here to chat with us and see if we can discuss how he feels about that seed today. Mikan, welcome, congratulations, and GG.
I am so glad we don't have to play our game 3. Oh my gosh.
Well, what do you think about that seed today? Pretty linear start, I think.
Yeah, I was really worried. You probably saw me not go up to Death Mountain. I really wanted to get, because I knew Zora, or I guess Agina, had either the lamp or the flute. I was really hoping it was the lamp so I could guarantee clear Hera. And that's why I didn't go up right away after doing the old man. And when I saw it was lamp lock, I was like, well, sweet, I can just do all this. But then nothing was there. And then the boots were like shortly after anyway. So I feel like that was a really early mistake. So I felt like I was at a deficit from like right at the start.
Well, we kind of had it nailed down because the game was not giving you a lot of places to go, and I had a feeling very early myself that Zora had something to do with the seed. It was either Zora or Agina. That was literally all you had left. So we had it kind of narrowed down that it was one of those two locations, and I wasn't expecting something as linear as what happened. Like, let's just review what happened there. You had to have the by logic, obviously you didn't have to get the lamp, being as a lot of top runners would go without that lamp if they have to. But by logic, you had to have the lamp to get through Eastern Palace, to get the flippers, to get to Waterfall Cave, which obviously a lot of runners would sequence break when doing Zora. But in order to get the boots, and then the boots to get the Moon Pearl from the Bonk Rocks, and that was just in the first half hour.
Yeah, you couldn't really sequence break the waterfall anyway without the Moon Pearl. So
yeah, that's true.
That was okay. I don't know. I just felt really bad. And then my initial routing in Dark World also felt like it could have been better. I know I ended up getting the Mitts and Samaria very quickly. But I don't know. I feel like... And then I guess Pod ended up being Go mode, huh? After I got the mirror in Pod, I didn't even think about I was in Go mode until I was like in the middle of the flute activation.
Yeah, we were looking at both of your item lists, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. I'm just looking at this, and I'm thinking the only thing that could be left is the fire rod, and the only thing that's needed for it is Ganon's tower. What if the big key is in that area, and they have to do this finicky bomb jump to get it? And I will not lie, I was kind of hoping you might have had to do that, but the game gave you the fire rod anyway, and you got all the money from that side.
I've not done that before. I've not done that with just the lamp before, so I was kind of worried about it, but I figured that if I am going to win this, I need to act like I don't need the fire rod, and I'm glad I did. When I found it, though, I was like, you know what, let's just use this, because it'd be funny if it was required.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering, like, at what point did you decide that you were just in Go mode without that fire rod? There was a period where we were sort of debating whether you were still looking for it because you were still opening chests. Of course, you could have also been looking for a sword.
I was definitely looking for a sword. As soon as I entered Desert Palace, I decided that I wasn't going to do anything extra, which was, I think, right after I got the mirror. I went there. Yeah, because I got the big key from the bottom chest of the right side of Desert, and I still had one item left in Desert, and I just said, screw it, let's just go. And then I ended up checking chests anyway, so I probably should have checked that north chest in Desert just in case, but oh well.
We're just gonna go ahead and probably mark Rauer. He actually did undone from the SRL chat at this point. We're just marking him as done now. And we can now say that Rauer finishes as well. And pick us up before we get dizzy is what the message was. I wanted to see what that was today. 1:29:56 was his official time. We're going to see if we can get him in here, but go ahead with what you were saying. Sorry if I interrupted you.
Oh, nope, I was good.
Okay, let's bring him in then. Ryror.
Yo.
GG.
Thank you. That was kind of painful. Not gonna lie.
So how did you feel about that seed?
There's no way I could have won this seed. There's no way I would go into Skullwoods. And yeah, my pal dip definitely opened up even more. I guess I'm lucky in a way that I isolated myths, because if I found the myths, I would have actually never found Kane until super late.
What's interesting is that you took some a couple of early game gambles, sequence breaking the mountain and going early into TT, but Skull Woods was the gamble you actually needed to make.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure if it's a gamble. It's just, being very cautious with your clearing. I think it's not necessarily a bad play, but it's not one I personally would make. I think my early game was actually really good. I was really happy with my early game. I think everything worked out perfectly. And yeah, but then once I entered the Dark World, everything around Thieves Town was just super messed up. I definitely made some mistakes there. But if I didn't make those mistakes, I wouldn't have been done yet, maybe. But huge GG's to Mikan. It was really sick routing. If he ended up in Go mode in pod.
If you
he
say
did
so.
get Go mode in pod. Yeah, I think he did get Go mode in pod. He got the Kane and the Titansman a lot earlier, and I don't think. At first, we didn't think he realized he was in Go mode, but he says that he realized it during the playing of the flute that he realized that. I think when we were doing hypotheses at the start of the race as to who might have been ahead at the start of the race, we kind of came to the conclusion that the fact that one of you had double dipped into Eastern Palace, the other had double dipped into Hera, having to climb the mountain twice, they kind of washed each other off, so to speak. So it was still not kind of hard to tell who was ahead at that point. But I actually think that the Kane pickup being later for you, Ryder, might have been what tipped the balance in Mikan's favor for this race.
Yeah. I mean, Skullwoods and Digging Game were my two last locations to check. So obviously that didn't work out as well as I wanted it to. I think the Kane was the main crux. If the Kane was behind the mids, it would have been a very different race, maybe.
Possibly.
Because then it just becomes a whack-a-mole when it comes to locations. But until, in the way things shaped out now, there was no way I could win. So, yeah. I mean, that's the thing about Rando, right? You make different decisions and then things just shape up very differently.
Yep, things can change. Like if one of the items was in Turtle Rock, neither you obviously went to Turtle Rock. Speaking of, let's have a shout out for no entry Turtle Rock on that seed.
Yeah,
we didn't even see which medallion it requires, not that it matters.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Yeah, I guess we both went up to East of Mountain via Super Bunny Cave this time.
Yeah, just to check those chests.
Yeah, I really wanted a sword.
Yeah. Did you end up, so I guess you ended up checking East Death Mountain initially without the lamp and got the bow there, and then found the flippers, and then got the boots before doing hair at all?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, that's what I figured that you would have done whenever I came to all that, which is why I felt behind, I guess, as soon as I found the Moon Pearl.
It just worked out perfectly, because we even found 300 rupees somewhere in East of Mountain. I was like, oh, perfect. That's or in Eastern, actually. I was like, oh, perfect. Zora money, because I knew it was either there or in Agina, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, found the flippers on Armos, and then could just check off the flipper locations, found boots. I was like, oh, perfect.
It's kind of funny with Zora having that lamp that sequence breakup, Death Mountain might have allowed you to skip the lamp entirely if it weren't for that Firelock Terra.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could have. It all leads back to Zora, of course. I had no idea where these swords were. I almost wanted to check Ether Tablet since I got the book in whatever cave. And I was like, nah, that's a little too much. Let's just go. I checked a bunch of stuff on the way. I think I checked all the ones on the way, kind of in Swamp, and I checked 2 that were slightly on the way in Ice Palace, and I guess I mistakenly cleared the rest of Pod looking for stuff when I could have just mirrored and gone straight to Helma.
I was super happy when I found Fluids and a mirror in Pod. But it really didn't lead to anything.
Right.
Of course, the flute doesn't open up anything without the mids anyway, but the mirror definitely checked all those locations.
I think if I remember correctly, the book was actually... was it Ganon's Tower today, or was it just somewhere on... no, it was Hookshot Cave. Hookshot Cave. So that, yeah, it had to be... But even then, it could have been Ganon's Tower because you were able to get in with the flute and mirror anyway by that point. So flute and mirror for Desert anyway today, and the book wasn't even of consequence at all. So anyway, as we probably should get close to wrapping things up soon, so I just want to ask you, Mikan, going into the next round here, as I'm just bringing up the brackets, I'm finding that you're going to be playing the winner of either ACM-LM or Pika Pals. How do you feel going into the next matchup?
Oh boy. Well, ACM kicks my butt in Rando Seeds, and Pika kicks my butt in Mystery Tournament. So I think either way, it's not going to go so hot for me. But I'm already beyond satisfied with tournament results. So that's I'm pretty all right.
And Eriror, how do you feel about your participation in the tournament? And how did you like the tournament overall?
I mean, overall, the tournament definitely was fun. I like playing different modes. I definitely started liking different modes less over the course of the tournament. I think there are some people who definitely feel that right now, maybe just competitive-wise, it might be better to just have constant Senator open, even though it is definitely less interesting over the course of on the long run. But if we had to play Game 3, I would have been miserable the entire time. So, in a way, I'm kind of happy that I lost this one. On the other hand, I'm definitely sad, because I felt I could have made it really far this tournament. And, well, I didn't deserve it with how I routed these seeds, and Mikan definitely obliterated me routing-wise. So, I can only wish him the best in the next few runs, and we'll see how next tournament goes, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
With that said, any last thoughts from either of you on the seed itself today, or anything else you want to say?
Not on the seed. I mistakenly got diet soda yesterday, and I'm pretty mad about that because diet soda is awful, and I had to drink that during the race. So I want everyone never buy diet soda.
Truly the worst of all fates.
It gave you super strength.
It must have, but it sure didn't taste good.
I think it made you want to get the seed over with quicker, so I guess it helped.
I don't know if it was worth it.
Well, just taking a quick look at the stats on the screen here, I see that you have pretty even stats on this, 140 versus 142, so pretty even on the collection race. I think it did just come down to a little bit of execution in the end and where that cane was. Really was what it came down to. But we probably should get to the mode of wrapping this up right about now. So let me just cover a few things that are coming up on the channel here and on the tournament itself. There are 2 more races that I see on the schedule for today. One is going on right now over on the main channel between Zero Rush and Bonta. They're doing an all dungeons standard swordless Randomizer seed. Drossi and Relkin are guiding you through that one on that channel. And we also have later tonight at 10:30 on Speed Gaming 2, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Brewers Fan JP, or JP we should just say, versus Dracarys. And they're doing, I think it was a retro mode seed, a standard all dungeons retro mode seed. And New York Rambler and Willard J. Bradley, who I actually saw in the chat for this race, are both going to be commentating on that one. They'll be guiding you through that seed this evening. And there are other races tomorrow as well. For example, we have, unfortunately, the game that would have been Game 3 for tomorrow won't take place anymore. But we do have the Lane versus Perdwong tomorrow. And we also have Weighty Words versus Glam. You can find information on these and other races on the schedule by going to speedgaming.org/ALTTPR or typing !schedule in the chat. You can also find information on other events on the Speed Gaming family of networks. Those races right now, looking at today's schedule, include a Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer at 8:30 p.m. I see a Zelda 2 randomizer race at 9 p.m. That's a weekly race that they have. And I also see over on, let me see, tomorrow. I see tomorrow there's a couple of Deltarune games at noon tomorrow, as well as more Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer and some Metroid Zero Mission tomorrow as well. There's a DKC All Stages tournament race tomorrow evening as well. So you can find all this information on the schedule. Just, again, type !schedule in chat or speedgaming.org/schedule for the full schedule. So with that said, I think, as I was knowing this should be where we should wrap up. Do you have any last things you want to say, Shularoon?
To those watching, don't forget to give these runners a follow if you haven't already.
Definitely, and also follow Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 6, ALTTP Randomizer and ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 5 for all your Link to the Past randomizer needs. And as Shularoon just said, follow the runners. They did a good job putting on this great race for you today. It came down very close in the end. So with that said, I want to wish...
Also, thank you to our tracker today, Osgeek.
Yes, good job, Osgeek, for clicking the buttons as well. I'm going to give you the final word in a moment, Shularoon. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for watching. And may all your rando be good rando. And have a great afternoon, have a great evening. And Shularoon, finish us off.
Not much more to say except good race from the both of you. Very good times.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you. See you.
And good night.
All right, good night, everyone.